Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Newshour, India's voice to the world. I'm Tanvi Taneja, coming up in the next hour. UK Foreign Secretary David Lammy calls on Prime Minister Narendra Modi in New Delhi. Prime Minister underscores the need for decisive international action against terrorism. External Affairs Minister Jaishankar says Delhi expects its partners to understand India's zero-tolerance policy on terrorism. Pakistani delegation led by Bilawal Bhutto gets an earful from US lawmaker asked to do all it can to eliminate Jaish-e-Mohammed. Russia launches a barrage of missiles and drones across Ukraine, killing at least 5 people. Moscow and Kiev exchange accusations over prisoners of war swap delay. And Muslims worldwide celebrate Eid AlAdha, a sacred occasion which symbolizes sacrifice, selflessness and devotion. Prime Minister Narendra Modi met UK's Foreign Secretary David Lammy on Saturday, expressing satisfaction over the growing momentum in India-UK ties and the remarkable progress made in the comprehensive strategic partnership between the two nations. The two leaders exchanged views on regional and global issues. Prime Minister Modi acknowledged the United Kingdom's continued support for India's fight against cross-border terrorism, calling for decisive international action against terrorism and those who support it. Meanwhile, UK Foreign Secretary David Lammy thanked Prime Minister Modi for the warm welcome and reaffirmed UK's commitment to deepening ties with India. Citing the recently concluded free trade agreement, Lammy stressed continued cooperation to boost growth, security and celebrate the shared living bridge between the two nations. UK Foreign Secretary strongly condemned the Pahalgam terror attack and expressed support for India's fight against cross-border terrorism. Earlier, the British Foreign Secretary and India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar held bilateral talks in New Delhi on Saturday. In his opening remarks, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar said that India is practicing a policy of zero tolerance against terrorism and it will never countenance perpetrators of evil being put on par with its victims.
Thank the government of the United Kingdom for the strong condemnation of the barbaric terrorist attack in Pahalgam in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, and for your solidarity and support to India in the fight against terrorism. We practice a policy of zero tolerance against terrorism and expect our partners to understand it. And we will never countenance perpetrators of evil being put at par with its victims.
Dr. S. Jaishankar termed the recently concluded free trade agreement between India and the UK and the Double Contribution Convention a milestone. During his meeting with UK Foreign Secretary David Lammy, Dr. Jaishankar said that the agreement will not only propel two-way trade and investment, but will also have a positive effect on other strategic aspects of the bilateral ties between the two countries. He added that it would also contribute to the strengthening of supply and value chains.
Recent conclusion of the India-UK FTA and the Double Contribution Convention is truly a milestone. It will not only propel our two-way trade and investment, but will also have a positive effect on other strategic aspects of our bilateral ties. It would also contribute to the strengthening of supply and value chains.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the International Conference on Disaster Resilient Infrastructure 2025 via video conferencing today. Addressing the gathering, he welcomed the participants to the International Conference on Disaster Resilient Infrastructure 2025. Marking its first ever hosting in Europe, he expressed gratitude to the President of France, Emmanuel Macron, and the Government of France for their support in organizing the event. The Prime Minister also extended his best wishes for the upcoming United Nations Oceans Conference.
Conference is being hosted in Europe for the very first time. I thank my friend President Macron and the government of France for their support. I also extend my wishes for the upcoming United Nations Oceans Conference. Friends, the theme of this conference is shaping a resilient future for coastal regions. Coastal regions and islands are at great risk due to natural disasters and climate change.
Underlining the Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure's ongoing work with 25 small island developing states, Prime Minister Modi expressed his appreciation for the presence of representatives from the Pacific Indian Ocean and Caribbean regions and welcomed the African Union's participation in the coalition.
Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure is working with 25 small island developing states. Resilient homes, hospitals, schools, energy, water security, and early warning systems are being built. Given the theme of this conference, I am glad to see friends from the Pacific Indian Ocean and the Caribbean here. Further, I am happy that the African Union has also joined the CDRI. Friends, I would like to draw your attention to some important global priorities. First, courses, modules, and skill development programs on disaster resilience need to become part of higher education.
Drawing attention to the key global priorities, the Prime Minister outlined 5 key topics to strengthen disaster-resilient infrastructure.
Many countries face disaster and rebuild with resilience. A global digital repository for the learnings and best practices would be beneficial. Third, disaster resilience requires innovative financing. We must design actionable programs and ensure developing nations have access to finance. Fourth, we consider small island developing states as large ocean countries. Due to their vulnerability, they deserve special attention. Fifth, strengthening early warning systems and coordination is crucial. This helps timely decisions and effective last-mile communication. I am sure that discussion in this conference will consider these aspects.
India has made remarkable strides in poverty alleviation under Prime Minister Modi's leadership, with the latest World Bank data highlighting a significant reduction in extreme poverty in the country. The number of people in India lifted out of extreme poverty stand at 269 million in the last 11 years. Pro-poor initiatives like free food grains, loans and housing have played a key role in this transformation. DD India's Mihir Mekuri reports.
India has seen numerous prime ministers come and go. But under Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership, the nation has made monumental strides in eradicating poverty, a feat now validated by the latest World Bank data. According to the World Bank, India's extreme poverty rate declined to 5.3% in 2022 to 2023, down from 27.1% in 2011 to 2012. The number of people living in extreme poverty declined from 344 million to just 75 million. This means 269 million people were lifted out of extreme poverty over just 11 years. States like Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, Bihar, West Bengal, and Madhya Pradesh led this remarkable decline in extreme poverty, contributing to two-thirds of the overall reduction by 2022 to 2023. The World Bank data highlights that this change was widespread, with poverty reductions in both rural and urban areas. Besides, India has also made tremendous progress in combating multidimensional poverty, with the multidimensional poverty index falling from 53.8% in 2005 to 2006 to just 15.5% in 2022 to 2023.
पिछले 11 साल में 25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त कर करके विजयी होकर के गरीबी से बाहर निकले हैं। अब वो नए मध्यम वर्ग का हिस्सा बने।
These stats are a testament to the effectiveness of India's pro-poor schemes. Some of the most impactful initiatives include 810 million people receiving free food grains under the PM Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana, 6.8 million street vendors securing loans through PM Swanidhi, small entrepreneurs securing over 520 million loans under the Mudra Yojana, and more than 40 million homes built for the poor under PM Awas Yojana. As the nation moves forward, it is clear that the government's focus on poverty alleviation will continue to shape the country's future for years to come. Mihir Makri for DD India.
And now we are joined by Dr. Chan Singh, eminent economist and CEO, Agro Foundation on the show. Welcome, sir. A stunning 269 million people have been lifted out of poverty in just over a decade or so. Can there be any doubt that this is a stupendous achievement of the current government?
Absolutely, there's no doubt about it. I have been talking about it for a very long time now, and under EGRO we have done series of seminars where we've shown multidimensional poverty as well as research studies both in India and abroad, where we have shown that poverty has been coming down dramatically. Actually, if you look back, I think three factors played a very important role. The Jan Dhan Yojana, which the Prime Minister launched as he became the Prime Minister, I think was a turning point. Before that, many of us who had been in the Reserve Bank or in the commercial banking were trying to somehow reach to the last person. We were doing the business correspondent models. It wasn't working. In 2008, Dr. C. Rangarajan had come out with a special study on financial inclusion. I was in the Reserve Bank. We had done some study therein also. But once the Prime Minister came, he launched it on a mission mode. I think that was a turning point. Everybody has a Jan Dhan account. And then the JAM Trinity played a very important role. The second thing which I think was very, very important was the schemes that he announced, like the Awas Yojana. Please remember, quite a bit of money of each individual goes into building a house. And now we had the Prime Minister's Awas Yojana, which was to that extent saving money. The third turning point came during COVID, when rest of the world said that you will find Indians lying on the streets all dead. We turned the tide. We not only gave free medicines, free vaccines, we also gave free rations during that time. So I think these three turning points made a very big difference in the poverty eradication scheme that you are now seeing is unfolding. The free ration scheme was extended. Now please remember, all the studies which have been done on poverty show that medicines take the biggest toll while moving people into the poverty line or below the poverty line. But that didn't happen in India. And that is the reason I say these are the three turning points in the last 10 years that has now resulted in what you are seeing. I don't know if you have noticed, but there is also a very important news that in the rural areas, poverty has come down dramatically in the last 11 years. I think that's also very good news. And at both ends, if you look at extreme poverty and you also look at the broader term of the poverty, that's the lower middle income group, you find a similar story unfolding. So I think that has made a very big difference, that the economic of the situation, the economics of handling COVID, the economics of banking, that has made a very big difference in poverty eradication in our country. I think it will be a case study for the world to follow.
Okay, and looking ahead, what could be the roadmap as regards further improving every Indian's living standards while developing India into a global economic powerhouse?
See, the report, there are two factors. One is the report indicating, and one is my own personal view as an economist. The report is indicating that 5 states played a very important role. Actually, these 5 states, UP, Bihar, Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, and West Bengal, these were the 5 states where most of the people were below the poverty line. 65% is concentrated there. Now, please remember, as Maharashtra started doing well, Madhya Pradesh started doing well, you find the poverty eradication has started taking place. So the mantra here is, if you are able to improve the growth in the state, and if you are able to improve the per capita income of the state, you are able to provide job opportunities within the state. You know, Madhya Pradesh has come out with millets, and Maharashtra, of course, has come out with industrialization. If you are able to provide, and UP came out with each district one product, that also made a very big difference. So if you are able to come out with states with their strategies to improve growth, you will find poverty eradication happening automatically. That means in many other states, which have not been named here, in many other states, there are still regions where there are lots of poor people, and that needs to be handled. So what is how to be handled? I think growth strategies have to improve in these states.
Okay.
The overall strategy which I looking into the future is the Viksit Bharat mantra, which the Prime Minister has been speaking about.
Yes.
He has also spoken at the Niti Aayog, and I thought he spoke greatly about the low-lying fruit there, and that was the tourism sector. In case each state is able to develop a good tourist spot, you will find as a hub like Hyderabad, Bangalore, Chennai works in these states to take over to improve the quality of life in these states. If other states start building a tourist hub, you know what happened in Mahakumbh? UP has gained tremendously from Mahakumbh. So similarly, if such tourist spots can be created, religious tourism or other tourism can be created, medical tourism, then you will find the states automatically improving, their per capita income improving, employment opportunities improving, automatically you'll find poverty eradication will take place.
Okay, so India's growth story is just beginning. We have to reach our Viksit Bharat goal in 2047, India's centenary year of independence. Thank you very much, Dr. Chan Singh, for being with us on the show.
Thank you.
You're watching DD India News. Still to come on the show. US-China trade talks set for Monday in London. Trump says the meeting should go very well. The dramatic rift between Donald Trump and Elon Musk is sending political and economic shockwaves internationally. And Iran strongly denounces the new travel ban announced by the United States, says the ban reflects Washington's racist mentality.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the Economic Brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I am Tanvi Taneja. On to the Russia-Ukraine conflict now. Russia launched a major overnight assault on Ukraine targeting Kharkiv. The city mayor said that the attack on Saturday killed at least 5 people and left several others injured. According to Ukrainian military, the scale of the assault was intense, with 206 drones and 2 ballistic missiles and 7 other missiles fired across the country. Meanwhile, Russia's defense ministry confirmed the strikes, stating that high-precision, long-range weapons and drones were used to hit what it called military targets in Ukraine. The ministry claimed all designated targets were successfully destroyed. Meanwhile, a fresh rift has emerged in the fragile wartime diplomacy between Russia and Ukraine. Kremlin aide Vladimir Medensky on Saturday claimed that Ukraine has unexpectedly postponed the planned exchange of prisoners of war and the repatriation of the fallen soldiers' bodies. However, Kiev has denied the accusation, rejecting claims that it delayed the agreed exchanges. The disagreement comes just days after the second round of peace talks were held in Istanbul, where both sides had committed to prioritizing the exchange of the youngest and most severely wounded prisoners, as well as the return of the bodies of over 12,000 fallen soldiers. US and China are set to hold further trade talks on Monday in London. This comes a day after Trump and Xi Jinping had a rare telephonic conversation amid weeks of disagreements over tariffs. President Donald Trump further said that China has agreed to export rare earths minerals to the United States. A report.
US President Donald Trump has said that his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping has agreed to export rare earth minerals and magnets to the US, in a move that could lower tensions between the world's biggest economies.
Well, we're very far advanced on the China deal. We wanted clarification. We had to have clarification. It's bumpy up here. We had to have clarification, and that's what we're really having the meeting about. We had a very good talk. I talked to President Xi for, I guess, more than 2 hours. We had a very good talk. It's a complicated deal, but it's a deal that's bring us a lot of money and a lot of everything else, and we get along very well with President Xi and with China.
The remark comes a day after Trump and Xi had a rare telephonic conversation amid weeks of disagreements over tariffs. Rare earth minerals are crucial components of electronics, magnets, and batteries. According to a report, China has granted temporary export licenses to rare earth suppliers of the top 3 US automakers. Delegates from Washington and Beijing are set to meet in London on Monday for further trade talks. In May, the two sides struck an agreement in Switzerland to roll back for 90 days most of the tit-for-tat tariffs they had placed on each other. But China's decision in April to suspend exports of a wide range of critical minerals and magnets continued to disrupt supplies needed by automakers and military contractors around the world. Trump had accused China of violating the Geneva Agreement and ordered curbs on chip design software and other shipments to China. Bureau Report, DD India.
Japan has said that it was making progress in talks aimed at easing President Donald Trump's tariffs, but cautioned that the two sides have not found a point of agreement yet. Japan, a key US ally and its biggest investor, is subject to the same 10% baseline tariffs imposed on most nations, plus steeper levies on cars, steel and aluminium. Trump also announced an additional 24% reciprocal tariff on Japan in early April, but later paused it along with similar measures on other countries until early July. Japan wants all levies announced by Trump lifted. Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba and Trump are reportedly planning to hold bilateral talks around the time of the G7 summit in Canada. Washington's 25% auto tariffs are particularly painful for Tokyo, with roughly 8% of all Japanese jobs tied to the sector. Now, the dramatic rift between US President Donald Trump and billionaire Elon Musk is sending political and economic shockwaves internationally. Once allies, the two are now publicly feuding after Musk slammed Trump's massive spending bill as a disgusting abomination. Trump retaliated by threatening to cancel Musk's lucrative government contracts, including NASA-linked SpaceX deals. Though Trump downplayed the feud on Friday, calling Musk a man who has lost his mind, but he hinted at reviewing billions in federal subsidies Musk's companies receive. Meanwhile, US President said that he was too busy working on international issues to be thinking about Elon Musk following their public falling out.
Honestly, I've been so busy working on China, working on Russia, working on Iran, working on so many, I'm not thinking about it.
Tehran on Saturday criticized the US travel ban targeting Iranians and citizens from 11 predominantly Middle Eastern and African nations, calling the move an evidence of a racist mindset. In a statement, the Foreign Ministry's Director General for Iranian Expatriate Affairs, Alireza Hashemi Raja described the policy set to begin on June 9th as a clear indication of the influence of supremacist and racist thinking among US decision makers. The decision indicates the deep hostility of American decision makers towards the Iranian and Muslim people, he added. Earlier, US President Trump signed an executive order reviving sweeping restrictions that echo his first-term travel ban, justified on national security grounds, following a firebomb attack at a pro-Israel rally in Colorado. Apart from Iran, the US ban targets nationals of Afghanistan, Myanmar, Chad, Congo, Guinea, Eritrea, Haiti, Libya, Somalia, Sudan and Yemen. A partial ban was imposed on travellers from 7 other nations. And next we take a look at other stories making news around the world. Thousands took part in an anti-austerity march in central London on Saturday, days before the British government is expected to set out a multi-year spending review. The demonstration was organised by People's Assembly, which says it brings together progressive left trade unions, campaigns and activists in a movement against austerity. Stockholm is hosting a unique convergence of tech entrepreneurs and longevity influencers at the Superhuman Summit. The event aims to explore cutting-edge innovations to extend human lifespan, with artificial intelligence taking center stage in unlocking new frontiers in health and wellness. London hosted the Colonel's Review, the final rehearsal for the Trooping the Colour Parade, marking King Charles' official birthday on 15th of June. Spectators gathered at Horse Guards Parade to witness a full dress performance by the Royal Foot Guards, Horse Guards and the massed bands. Large crowds gathered in Nice for a spectacular drone show ahead of the UN Oceans Conference, as over 2,000 drones lit up the sky with images of marine life. France is set to host the world leaders this week to address what the UN describes as a global emergency faced by the world's oceans. You're with us on DD India Newshour, still to come on the show. An expert take on India's new policy of eliminating terrorists wherever they are. Home Minister Amit Shah hails the courage of soldiers involved in the recent anti-Naxal operations in India's central state of Chhattisgarh. Welcome back. You're watching DD India Newshour. I'm Tanvi Taneja. India practices a policy of zero tolerance against terrorism and now gives a befitting reply to terrorists without differentiating between state and non-state actors. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar, during talks with UK Foreign Secretary David Lammy on Saturday, said India expects its partners to understand the strong reprisal of its policy. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh too reiterated India's policy of zero tolerance and assured retaliation against Pak-sponsored terrorism. India will not accept any equivalence between terrorists and their victims. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar on Saturday reaffirmed India's zero-tolerance policy against terrorism during discussions with UK Foreign Secretary David Lammy in New Delhi.
We practice a policy of zero tolerance against terrorism and expect our partners to understand it. And we will never countenance perpetrators of evil being put at par with its victims.
Jaishankar also thanked the UK for its strong condemnation of the barbaric Pahalgam terror attack and London's support to New Delhi's fight against terrorism. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh also emphasised India's new policy of zero tolerance against terrorism in an op-ed of a national daily. In the article headlined, "We have shown how to defeat terror," Rajnath Singh wrote, "For a long time, we have reacted to terrorist acts while searching for a long-term vision and strategy. Our armed forces were earlier only allowed to engage in defensive action. With surgical strikes in 2016, Balakot strikes in 2019, and now Operation Sindoor, India has made a fundamental reappraisal of its policy towards Pakistan-sponsored terrorists." Citing the threat of atomic weapons landing in the hands of non-state actors in Pakistan, India's defence minister urged all peace-loving nations to sign the Comprehensive Convention Against International Terrorism. In Brazil, the BRICS countries collectively condemned the Pahalgam terrorist attack and emphasized the need to adopt a zero-tolerance policy against terrorism through joint efforts. Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla urged for unity among member nations at the 11th BRICS Parliamentary Forum concluded in Brasilia. It may be noted that the next edition of the BRICS Parliamentary Forum will be hosted by India. Meanwhile, multi-party delegations concluded their highly productive visits, conveying India's resolute and united stand against terrorism to 32 countries.
हमारी जर्मनी की यात्रा बहुत ही अच्छी रही। हम प्रधानमंत्री की सोच का अभिनंदन करेंगे, जिस प्रकार से उन्होंने सोचा और हम 6 देश गए, जिस तरह का हमें भारत को सम्मान मिला, भारत की आवाज सुनी गई, तो भारत का वजन बढ़ा है और आतंकवाद के खिलाफ सहमति बनी है।
Leader of one such multi-party delegation, Shashi Tharoor, currently in Washington DC, summarized it as an excellent patriotic experience.
We had good conversations everywhere. Pretty much every country, our embassies did a very good job of arranging high-level contacts to meet highest levels of government in some countries, top legislators dealing with these issues, think tanks, media, influential media, press, public, and of course, where possible and appropriate, the diaspora. We got tremendous amount of support and sympathy. Some more in private than in public, some also openly expressed. But on the whole, looking back on this, it's an excellent experience. The 8 members of the delegation are leaving feeling they have accomplished something for the nation.
Further, Pakistani delegation led by former Foreign Minister Bilawal Bhutto Zardari, also in Washington DC, got an earful from senior US lawmaker Brad Sherman. Sherman said that Pakistan should do all it can to eliminate the terrorist group Jaish-e-Mohammed, who murdered journalist Daniel Pearl in 2002. Sherman also advised Bhutto to ensure the safety of religious minorities in the country. India thus remains steadfast in its quest to eliminate terrorism in all its manifestations. New Delhi's policy is clear. Talks and terrorism cannot go hand in hand. If Pakistan is unable to rein in terrorists operating from its soil, it will have to pay the price. Bureau Report, DD India. And we are now joined by former senior Indian diplomat Manjeev Singh Puri. Manjeev ji, welcome to the program. First of all, accept our compliments for being part of the all-party delegations involved in India's outreach against terrorism. So let me first ask you about your experience of visiting Russia and other nations. Was the message of India's zero tolerance towards terrorism well received by our allies?
Anvi, thank you very much. Absolutely. There should be absolutely no doubt in anyone's mind that the world, first of all, the world understands terrorism, and there are hardly any civilized countries which find any kind of excuse that terrorism is fine. Everybody condemns it. It was condemned in the United Nations, the Pahalgam attack, the attack of the 22nd of April was condemned. We received solidarity, we received understanding, and all countries, starting with Russia, going on to Slovenia, to Greece, to Latvia and to Spain, every single one of the countries at leadership level was very clear that terrorism in all its manifestations had no place in this civilized world. Indeed, one very senior interlocutor called it the cancer of the modern world and one that had to be eviscerated, and there should be no place for terrorism in our civilizations of today. Absolutely clear, and the countries were one with us on this.
Okay. The External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, also made it clear to the UK Foreign Secretary David Lammy today that India will never accept any equivalence between terrorists and their victims. What does this mean in practical terms?
Tanvi, this is absolutely right. In fact, the whole idea of trying to tell people that a country like Pakistan, it also itself faces terrorism, the fountainhead of terrorism, facing terrorism, and this being given an excuse for their fomenting and nurturing terrorism, not at all. Look, zero tolerance for terrorism is something that we have espoused for a long time. I must tell you, in 2011-12, India served on the Security Council. Now Minister, then our ambassador to the UN, Singh Puri, was the chair of the Counter-Terrorism Committee. I was his deputy, and we had this written into the statute. This is now being strongly reinforced by us in the world, that there should be zero tolerance for terrorism. The question of differentiating between states that sponsor terrorists, states and non-state actors, none of these are important. And the whole question that you face terrorism and therefore you should be excused for letting that flow from your soil, not at all. I'm so glad that this has been put unequivocally across to our British counterparts, who are among the countries who, tend to raise sometimes the bogies of rights of those who perpetrate all of this, and otherwise this entire question that Pakistan itself is a victim of terrorism. It should stop fomenting terrorism. I am sure there will be no terrorism in its own country, and it can focus on development instead.
Okay, a senior US lawmaker, Brad Sherman, has told a visiting Pakistani delegation to take strong action against terrorist organization, especially the Jaish-e-Mohammed. How do you view this statement?
I am not at all surprised. The Pakistanis thought that just as India had all-party delegations going and meeting key interlocutors in the world, especially those who are serving or will be serving on the Security Council, they could use someone like Mr. Bilawal Bhutto, who has served as foreign minister, to go across, and that there would be the same kind of understanding. Look, the world knows which is the fountainhead of terrorism. And therefore, the entire question was something that he should have anticipated, but I'm sure he has no answer to it. And so, therefore, in a sense, their veil stands lifted by this kind of an attempt. This kind of equivalence doesn't exist, and it should be crystal clear to everyone that, you do this, the world knows. We are sitting in 2025. The world has a far better idea of what this means, and the world has no place for terrorism today.
Okay, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh in an op-ed today urged all peace-loving nations to sign the Comprehensive Convention Against International Terrorism. Why is this treaty important, and why are some nations reluctant to sign it?
So, Tanvi, this is a very old effort started by India in 1996, and we have been pushing it at the United Nations for a long time. The United Nations is a power game of nations. And even after 9/11, the major powers of the world didn't think that the Comprehensive Convention should be fostered. Instead, they worked through the Security Council, the so-called 1267 resolution. They had all their work done on that. I think, we are making the effort. We should continue to make the effort. This is a very good global instrument. When it comes into play, it will give the entire world a peg and an instrument with which not just the permanent members of the Security Council, but the entire world will have legal standing. Important for us to do. But I think we also need to understand that, the reasons why it hasn't moved forward is not really because those who we talk about as naysayers, states which talk in terms of state sponsorship of terrorism, small countries, the Palestinians were opposed, the Cubans were opposed, we talk of Chinese. No, actually it's the big boys who find that what they need, they get done through the Security Council. But it's a changing India, an important country. And when we bring this to the fore now, at the times of today, then the listening is of a different order.
Different order, and India's zero tolerance against terrorism finding resonance across the country, because people no longer can take the brunt of cross-border terrorism. Thank you very much, Dr. Manjeev Ji, for being with us on the show. Okay, moving on. Union Home Minister Amit Shah on Saturday felicitated officials who played a key role in the recently conducted anti-Naxal operations. In a post on social media platform X, Shah said, and I quote him, "I'm eager to meet the brave Jawans who made these campaigns successful, and with their courage, I will soon visit Chhattisgarh to meet them and interact with them. The Modi government is committed to freeing India from the scourge of left-wing extremism or Naxalism. Union Health Minister J.P. Nadda emphasized the importance of food safety and nutrition as he addressed the launch of Stop Obesity by Eating Safe and Healthy initiative on World Food Safety Day 2025 in Bengaluru. Nadda on Saturday called for a unified effort from the government, industry, academia to promote safe and healthy eating practices across the country, especially among children. He also announced the government's new initiative within the NCERT, National Council of Educational Research and Training curriculum aimed at educating students about healthy dietary habits.
Safe food compromises lives, especially for the most vulnerable are our children. You see, the advertisement world and the type of advertisements which are coming up, the children are attracted towards all types of food. And that is why we have started this campaign, and I thank Sanjay Kumarji, the Secretary School Education, who has introduced in National Council for Educational Research and Training, NCERT, the curriculum for what to eat, what not to eat.
What to eat, what not to eat, it's a dilemma we all face practically every day. All right, now an Indian Air Force AN-32 aircraft successfully airlifted a critically ill personnel from Kargil to the command hospital in Haryana's Chandi Mandir on Saturday. Facing extreme temperatures and high altitude challenges, the mission was carried out at first light, pushing the aircraft to the edge of its performance limits. The swift response highlights the Indian Air Force's commitment to saving lives even in difficult terrains. And next we take a look at other stories making news in India. In a significant move to bolster India's coastal surveillance and maritime operational capabilities, Indian Coast Guard Director General Paramesh Shivamani inaugurated a new dedicated jetty at the Wingliam Harbour in Kerala. The advanced jetty, equipped with a 76.7-metre berth, is tailored to support Indian Coast Guard vessels, boosting rapid deployment and operational efficiency. In Uttarakhand, a private helicopter en route to Kedarnath Dham made an emergency landing in Gupt Kashi of Rudraprayag district due to a technical fault. All the people on board the helicopter are safe. The rest of the shuttle operations are going on normally as per schedule. You're with us on DD India Newshour, still to come on the show. In a historic showdown, world number 1, Yannick Sinner faces defending champion Carlos Alcaraz in French Open final on Sunday. Portugal forward Cristiano Ronaldo rules himself out of the upcoming Club World Cup.
Welcome to Jaipur.
Thank you for staying with us on DD India Newshour. I am Tanvi Taneja. Prime Minister Modi-led government has completed 11 years in office. Up next, we get you reports on how good governance has impacted lives and improved the status of the Indian economy. From isolation to integration, the northeastern part of India has witnessed a decade of transformation. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Act East policy is unleashing the northeast's potential as India's gateway to Asia. Peace in this part of the country is turning the conflict zones into development hubs. DD India's Vishal Barristow reports on 11 years of the Modi government and its policies' impact on northeastern India.
The Northeast region is now a gateway to the Southeast Asia. Hill states like Nagaland have now become more accessible by a continuously increasing train network.
Nagaland is a hill state. You have railway head in Dimapur more than 100 years ago. Then it has come to the next station, and the railway station is coming to the capital Kohima. So this year also we are opening to one station, and 4 lane has reached Kohima, and then it will go its way to Imphal, and that is the route to look East policy, and the Act East policy is in action, and that is declared as National Highway, Trans Highway to Southeast Asia.
The drastic change in the northeastern region has been the result of a decisive leadership at the centre.
There has been a complete paradigm shift in the attention that's given to the northeast, in terms of the thought process, in terms of the financial investments, the development. So from all levels, there has been a huge change. Starts off with the Honorable Prime Minister himself, who has come more than 70 times to the Northeast in the last 11 years. More than 700 visits by different ministers of the Government of India have been made to Northeast.
But that is not all. To make Northeast AI ready, a blueprint of skill development has already been finalized. Once a frontier region of the country, the northeastern region has now become a treasure trove of opportunities. Vishal Barristow's report for DD India.
India's former badminton player Vimal Kumar also expressed confidence in the 11 years of the Modi government, saying sports infrastructure and athlete welfare have been given great importance during Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership.
As a sports person who has represented India for many years, I'm truly encouraged by the way our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji has supported and elevated the status of sports in India over the past 11 years. We are witnessing unprecedented momentum from improved infrastructure and athlete welfare to international results. The vision to bid for the 2036 Olympic Games reflects a bold and progressive mindset.
Founder of XL Cinema, Deepti Prasad, lauding the 11 years of the NDA government, said accessible infrastructure, digital platforms and financial inclusion have defined Prime Minister's leadership.
These years have not just been about development. They have been about building an inclusive and empowered India. From accessible India to digital India, our nation has bridged gaps, unlocked possibilities for millions, including persons with disability. No longer we are a country that marginally accommodates. We are a country that includes, enables and uplifts. Whether it's accessible infrastructure, digital platforms or financial inclusions through UPI, Jan Dhan, technology, governance have come together and transformed lives, especially in the rural and marginalized communities. From Make in India to Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, from telemedicines to women-led developments, these 11 years have reignited faith in leadership, trust in systems and hope for the future.
All right. Muslim community across India and the globe marked Eid AlAdha, the festival of sacrifice, with deep religious and community bonding. The festival commemorates Prophet Ibrahim's devotion and readiness to sacrifice his son in obedience to God's will. DD India's Yash Chaturvedi brings us more in our next report.
From the grand domes of Jama Masjid in Old Delhi to the spiritual heart of Mecca, the sacred festival of Eid AlAdha was observed with prayers, joy and unity. In Delhi, massive crowd of devotees reached the Jama Masjid on Saturday morning to offer prayers. Delhi police ensured elaborate security arrangements, including city-wide patrolling for a peaceful celebration across the capital.
ईद का भी त्यौहार है, तो इसके मद्देनज़र हमने ये एक्स्ट्रा आज पेट्रोलिंग और व्हीकल चेकिंग की है और उसका उद्देश्य यही है कि लोगों को सुरक्षा की भावना पैदा हो कि पुलिस रात के समय चेकिंग पे है ताकि कोई दुर्घटना ना घटे और अपराधियों के दिल में खौफ हो कि कोई भी ऐसी आपराधिक घटना को अंजाम ना दे पाए कि पुलिस चार चौबंद से इलाके में गश्त कर रही है, चेकिंग कर रही है और पेट्रोलिंग ड्यूटी पे लगी हुई है.
In Mumbai also, worshippers at Haji Ali Dargah offered namaz in a spirit of devotion and unity. At the iconic Taj Mahal, Eid prayers were held in a serene and symbolic display of faith. Eid AlAdha was observed with special prayers and cultural gatherings in various parts of the world. Depending on the sighting of the crescent moon in Egypt, Jordan and Tunisia, devotees gathered at mosques on Friday, embracing traditions with sweets, balloons and processions.
On Eid AlAdha, we start the day by waking up early, all the family. We all go out for prayers and then we come back for the sacrifices, which is one of the most beautiful things on this day. Then we release ourselves like the pilgrims present at Arafat. We ask God Almighty to be among the people of the sacred house in the coming years.
In Mecca, thousands of pilgrims assembled at the Grand Mosque during the ongoing Hajj pilgrimage, offering prayers at one of the holiest Islamic sites. At Jerusalem's Al-Aqsa Mosque, worshippers marked Eid under the cloud of conflict due to the ongoing tensions. As the crescent moon of Eid AlAdha shines over countries, the festival honors the values of faith, devotion and submission to the god. From bustling cities to conflict zones, the day united hearts in prayer reminded us of our shared humanity. Yash Chaturvedi for DD India.
Bangladesh celebrated Eid AlAdha with deep religious fervour and solemnity on Saturday. Across the country, worshippers gathered at mosques to offer special Eid prayers, marking the festival of sacrifice with devotion and community bonding. In the capital city of Dhaka, the Baitul Mukarram National Mosque conducted 5 congregational prayers with thousands of devotees in attendance. President of Bangladesh, Mohammad Shahabuddin, in his message, urged the wealthy and affluent people to come forward so that none is deprived of the joy of Eid. Interim Government Chief Advisor Professor Muhammad Yunus also extended greetings to the nation on this sacred occasion. And time now for some sporting action updates from the French Open now. Well, Coco Gauff has won the French Open women's singles title. American Coco Gauff beat world number 1 Arna Sabalenka of Belarus 6-7, 6-2, 6-4 to win the coveted title on Saturday. This was world number 2 Gauff's second Grand Slam title and her first on clay surface. Gauff battled back from a set down to beat Sabalenka for the second time. She had also defeated Sabalenka in 2023 to win the US Open. The 21-year-old Gauff became the first American woman to capture the singles title since Serena Williams did it in 2015 and has become the youngest from the United States to achieve the remarkable feat. And on Sunday, the red clay of Roland Garros will witness a historic showdown as world number 1 Yannick Sinner faces defending champion Carlos Alcaraz in the 2025 French Open men's singles final on Sunday. The two are set to square off on court Philippe Chatrier, where Alcaraz is looking to win his second French Open title in a row. It is the first Grand Slam final between the two players born in the 2000s, marking a new era in men's tennis. Olympian Jetty secured victory in the women's 100-meter hurdle as India secured 6 gold medals on the opening day of the Taiwan Athletics Open in Chinese Taipei on Saturday. Reigning Asian champion Jetty stormed to gold with a time of 12.99 seconds. She surged ahead in the final 20 meters with a powerful finish to clinch victory. Tejas Shirse also claimed gold in the men's 110-meter hurdle. India also won gold in both the men's and women's 100-meter relay event. Earlier in the day, Pooja won India's first gold medal by dominating the women's 1500-meter race. Former Asian champion Abdullah Abubakar clinched gold in the men's triple jump event. And Al Nassr and Portugal forward Cristiano Ronaldo confirmed that he would not play in the upcoming Club World Cup. The Portugal captain said that he was set to take part in the newly expanded competition and these suggestions were wide of the mark. Speculation over the 40-year-old's future intensified last month when FIFA President Gianni Infantino said that discussions were underway about Ronaldo playing in the Club World Cup despite Al Nassr failing to qualify. The reports suggested that he could switch to another club, potentially the Saudi side Al Hilal, which will participate in the competition beginning on 15th of June in the United States. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of DD India Newshour. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. Connect with us on our different social media handles at DD India Live. And for those on the go, you can download our DD India mobile app for news and updates from India and the world. We'll be back with more news as it breaks around DD India. I'm Tanvi Taneja from all of us here in New Delhi. Thank you for watching. Namaskar.